Some people will never tell you to your face that they do not like you. They will smile. They will act polite. They will nod and speak softly. But beneath it all, there is something cold. Something distant. Something that does not sit right in your gut. I have felt it too. You think someone respects you, maybe even calls you a friend, but little by little, their behavior reveals a different story. That hidden tension, the forced kindness, the small moments of rejection that feel just a little too intentional. And if you do not see it early, you can lose yourself trying to win over someone who quietly hopes you fail. This is not about being paranoid. It is about protecting your time, your energy, and your peace. When someone does not like you but refuses to say it out loud, their actions will always give them away. And the faster you learn to recognize those signs, the faster you can walk away without regret. If you have felt this kind of tension with someone, if you have ever questioned whether a smile was real or if the silence meant something more, then this is for you. And if you are ready to stop second-guessing people who already showed you who they are, subscribe to Stoic Legacy. This is where you learn to move with clarity and never settle for hidden disrespect. Sign number 1. They constantly joke about your flaws. It starts off playful. A little teasing about your clothes, your ideas, your voice, the way you carry yourself. They laugh, you laugh, and you tell yourself it is nothing. But then it keeps happening. And somehow, the jokes are always about you. Always about the things you are insecure about. Always delivered with that same smirk, like they are doing you a favor by pointing out what is wrong with you. The truth is, people who constantly joke about your flaws are not being lighthearted. They are telling you exactly how they feel, but they are hiding behind humor to make it easier to get away with. I have been there. Letting the laughs pass, thinking I was being strong by brushing it off. But every time I stayed quiet, I handed them another piece of my self-respect. It is easy to confuse confidence with tolerance, to think that letting things go is the higher road. But the moment you start to shrink in someone's presence just to avoid being mocked, you are not being mature, you are being used. These jokes are not just jokes. They are tests. A way to see how much you will tolerate. How much they can get away with while still calling you a friend. And the longer you allow it, the deeper the cut becomes. You start questioning yourself. Wondering if maybe they are right. Maybe you do talk too much. Maybe your ideas are dumb. Maybe you really are too sensitive. But the truth is, someone who respects you does not make your weaknesses their playground. Real friends do not use you as the punchline. They protect your soft spots. They encourage your growth. They do not chip away at your confidence just to feel powerful in the moment. If someone consistently hides cruelty inside a joke, it is not a joke. It is a red flag dressed up as comedy. And it is your job to see it clearly, to draw the line, and to stop letting people hide their disrespect behind a fake laugh. Sign number 2. Their compliments sting like insults. It sounds strange until you experience it for yourself. Someone looks you in the eye, smiles, and says something that almost feels like praise. But instead of lifting you up, it twists in your stomach. You feel unsettled. Confused. Like maybe you misheard them. They say things like "you actually look good today," or "this turned out better than I expected from you." At first, you try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they meant well. Maybe they just worded it poorly. But the more it happens, the more you realize that these compliments are never really about celebrating you. They are carefully crafted reminders that they do not fully respect you. That they still see you as someone who is beneath them. I have had people tell me I was smarter than I looked, that my work was impressive coming from someone like me. And every time, I smiled and nodded, trying to play it cool. But deep down, it left a mark. It was only later, after some real reflection, that I understood the pattern. These compliments are not meant to build. They are meant to contain. They acknowledge your effort but remind you of your place. They sound nice, but they are built to control. They say, I see you trying, but you will never be as good as me. And when you keep accepting them without saying a word, you start believing that narrative too. You begin to shrink yourself so they stay comfortable. You keep your wins small. You dim your light so you do not seem arrogant. But here is the truth. Someone who genuinely supports you will never need to lace their compliments with poison. They will not be afraid to give you full credit. They will not make your success feel like a surprise. They will celebrate you without making it about themselves. Backhanded compliments are a reflection of their insecurity, not your worth. And when you realize that, you stop taking their words to heart. You start questioning the intent behind every phrase that sounds sweet but lands sharp. You gain the power to protect your mind from manipulation disguised as praise. And if you ever want to test it, just ask them what they meant by it. Watch how quickly their mask slips. The ones who meant to hurt you will panic. The ones who did not will explain. Either way, you get clarity. And in this world, clarity is peace. Sign number 3. They subtly exclude you from plans. At first, you do not even notice it. You think it was just an accident, a small oversight, something that slipped through the cracks. You open your phone and see pictures of people you thought were your friends, laughing at a dinner you never heard about, posting stories from a trip you were never invited to. You try not to overthink it. You tell yourself they probably forgot, or maybe it was a last-minute thing. But something inside you starts to shift. You bring it up casually, hoping to hear something that makes sense, but the answers are always soft and vague. We thought you were busy. It happened so fast. It wasn't really planned. And yet, somehow, everyone else knew. Everyone else made it. You start realizing this is not just about one event. It is a pattern. You are being slowly edged out of the circle without anyone saying a word. And that is what makes it so hard to confront. Because no one says anything cruel. No one admits they do not want you there. They just stop showing up. Stop including you. Stop making room for you. It is passive. It is quiet. But it cuts deep. I have been there. I have smiled through it, pretending like I didn't care, pretending I was above it. But the truth is, that kind of exclusion chips away at you. It makes you question your place. It makes you wonder what changed. What you did wrong. Why you are the one they keep leaving out. But you have to understand this. People who value you, make room for you. No matter how last minute something is, no matter how chaotic their life may be, they find a way to make you feel wanted. Inclusion is never an accident. And neither is exclusion. The people who want you there will reach out. They will check in. They will make the call. And the ones who don't, won't. And if you keep letting it slide, hoping things will return to normal, all you are doing is making it easier for them to forget you. You are allowing yourself to become invisible. I had to stop giving people that kind of control. I had to stop pretending that silence did not speak volumes. If someone is constantly leaving you out, they are sending a message. And you owe it to yourself to hear it clearly. Because you are not a backup option. You are not someone they get to remember only when it is convenient. You deserve friends who choose you without hesitation. Every single time. Sign number 4. They are always busy when it comes to you. Everyone says they are busy. That is the default excuse for not showing up, for not responding, for keeping you at a distance. And at first, you believe it. You tell yourself they must have a lot going on. You give them grace. You wait. You stay patient. But then you start to notice something. They are not too busy for everyone. They are going out. They are catching up with mutual friends. They are posting pictures, laughing, enjoying themselves. They have the time, just not for you. That is when it sinks in. You are not a priority. You are not even an afterthought. You are a name they scroll past. A message they ignore. A call they let ring out. I have been there, telling myself they would get back to me eventually. That maybe they were overwhelmed. That maybe I was asking for too much. But the truth is simple. People make time for what they care about. That is not opinion. That is fact. And when someone consistently avoids making time for you, they are not too busy. They are just not interested. They are keeping you close enough to not feel guilty, but far enough that they do not have to deal with you. It is a slow kind of rejection. A quiet way of pushing you out without ever saying it directly. And it hurts, because you start adjusting your expectations. You lower your standards. You convince yourself that a breadcrumb of attention is enough. You start making excuses for them, defending their silence. But what you are really doing is abandoning yourself. I had to learn that I deserve more than excuses. That I deserve more than last-minute cancellations and unread messages. That if I am always the one reaching out, always the one initiating, always the one holding space, then I am not being valued. I am being used. Respect is not found in their words. It is found in their effort. And if they cannot make the smallest effort to connect, then they do not deserve the access I gave them. You have to stop chasing people who already showed you they are not coming your way. You have to stop waiting for someone who only shows up when it is easy. Because your time is not something to be borrowed. Your energy is not something to be drained. And your worth is not something they get to measure based on their convenience. Sign number 5. They avoid physical contact like it makes them uncomfortable. And no, this is not about romantic affection. This is about something much simpler, much more human. A handshake. A pat on the shoulder. Sitting close without flinching. We are wired to connect through subtle physical gestures. When someone values you, when they trust you, they are naturally more at ease in your presence. But when someone does not like you, even if they never say it, their body language will scream it. They pull back when you get close. They avoid even the most basic contact. Their posture stiffens. Their face tightens. And the worst part is, they do not act that way with others. They hug them. They laugh freely. They lean in. But around you, something is always different. I have experienced it. That strange tension when you go to shake a hand and the other person gives you nothing. When you greet someone and their smile is there, but their body is already retreating. At first, you wonder if you are imagining it. You tell yourself maybe they are just not that physical. But then you watch them with others, and the truth becomes impossible to ignore. It is not about who they are. It is about how they feel about you. They do not want to connect. They do not want closeness. They want distance, and they use silence and space to maintain it. And while that might not seem like a big deal, it speaks volumes. Because we can fake words. We can fake smiles. But we cannot fake comfort. Our bodies do not lie. And when someone repeatedly avoids even the smallest form of physical connection with you, it means they are not open. Not trusting. Not warm. It means they are guarding themselves, and that barrier is not an accident. You have to pay attention to how people react to your presence. Not just what they say, but how they sit, how they shift, how they look at you. Their discomfort is the truth trying to make itself known. And you do not need to take it personally. But you do need to take it seriously. Because when someone creates invisible space between you every time you enter the room, they are already making their decision. And now it is your turn to make yours. You deserve to be around people who feel safe with you. Who do not flinch when you reach out. Who do not treat your presence like something they need to endure. You are not here to make anyone comfortable. But you are here to recognize who values connection, and who is just pretending to tolerate you. Sign number 6. They disappear when you need support. Anyone can show up when the sun is out. When life is easy. When all you need is someone to laugh with. But when the clouds roll in, when your world starts falling apart, when you are at your lowest and barely holding on, that is when you learn who is real. Some people will vanish without a word. No texts. No calls. No check-ins. Just silence. They have 100 reasons. Work is crazy. They are dealing with stuff. They forgot to reply. But deep down, you know what it really means. They were never truly there. I have seen it with people I trusted. People I stood by during their storms. When they were hurting, I showed up. I answered the phone. I listened. I helped. But when it was my turn to bleed, they vanished. And it was in that silence that the truth hit the hardest. Their loyalty was conditional. Their presence was performative. They wanted the friendship without the weight of responsibility. And once they had to carry something, they were gone. The worst part is, they never admit it. They act like nothing happened. They come back when things are better, pretending they were just busy, hoping you will forget. But you should not forget. You should remember who showed up and who did not. Because support is not about grand gestures. It is not about solving all your problems. Sometimes it is just a message, a call, a moment of stillness where someone says, "I see you, and I am here." That is all it takes to make someone feel human again. But when they cannot give you even that, they are not in your corner. They just want access to the best parts of you. Not the broken parts. Not the vulnerable parts. And if you let that slide, you are letting people into your life who will drain you when you are full and leave you when you are empty. That is not friendship. That is emotional theft. You need to stop explaining your pain to people who cannot hold it. Stop expecting presence from people who have already proven their absence. Let their silence be your clarity. You are not hard to love. You are not too much. You are just finally learning how to protect your heart from people who only show up when it is easy. Sign number 7. They gossip about you behind your back. It always starts the same way. Someone tells you something they heard. Something you never said to them. Something private. Something personal. And your stomach drops because you know exactly who you told. You trusted them. You let them in. And now your story is being passed around like a rumor. The betrayal does not hit like a slap. It hits like silence. Like confusion. Like disbelief that someone you considered a friend could take your vulnerability and use it as entertainment. I have lived that. I have watched my name get twisted by people who smiled in my face. I have heard my words repeated back to me, mangled, exaggerated, spun into things I never meant. And when I confronted them, they laughed it off. Said it was harmless. Said I was overthinking it. But gossip is never harmless. It is a coward's way of expressing hate without confrontation. It is a quiet knife in your back, held by someone who still expects you to trust them. People who talk about you behind your back are not just disrespecting you. They are actively trying to shape how others see you, while pretending to support you. That is manipulation. That is control. That is someone who wants you small, misunderstood, and isolated. And it does not stop with one conversation. The same people who gossip to you about others will gossip about you to others. That is a rule, not an exception. And if you ignore it, you will be surrounded by people who clap when you win but cheer louder when you fall. I had to learn to watch not just what people say to my face, but what they say when I am not in the room. And when someone shows you that they cannot protect your name when you are not around, they do not deserve your trust when you are. Gossip is a test. A way to see if someone honors the bond you share, or if they see you as just another topic for their insecurity to feed on. And once they fail that test, the relationship changes. Not out of anger. Not out of revenge. But out of respect for yourself. You deserve peace. You deserve loyalty. And if someone cannot give you that, they do not get to keep your presence. Let their words reveal their character, and let your silence become the wall they can no longer climb. Some people will never say it to your face. But their actions will speak louder than words ever could. You owe it to yourself to listen. To watch. To recognize who is for you and who is quietly working against you. Protect your energy. Protect your peace. And never stay where you are merely tolerated. You were not made to chase approval. You were made to walk in truth. If this message helped you see something clearly, subscribe to Stoic Legacy. This is where you learn to let go without fear, stand tall without apology, and build something no one can take from you. Stay stoic and build your stoic legacy.